When we think about solving huge problems like homelessness and instability in our communities, our minds usually go to the individual pieces, right? A shelter over here, a food bank over there. But what if the real solution isn't just about what we do, but how we do it together? Today, we're going to look at this really innovative and honestly deeply compassionate model from Central Oregon. They're flipping the script, trading competition for collaboration to build a system that actually truly works for people in crisis. Okay, let's dive right in. So here's our roadmap. We'll start by really understanding the problem, what we're calling a system of silos. Then we'll get into the game changer, a new way to fund what actually works. After that, we'll look at the collaborative engine that powers this whole thing, follow a person's journey to see it in action, and finally, wrap up with how this all builds a sustainable future for everyone. So let's talk about the core challenge. And let's be clear, it's not a lack of good people or organizations trying to help. It's that our support networks are, well, they're fragmented. Just try to imagine for a second, you're in a crisis and you have to find your way through this maze of disconnected services. Every door you open has different rules, different paperwork. It's exhausting. And that's the reality for way too many people. And this quote, wow, it just hits you right in the gut, doesn't it? This really gets to the human cost of a broken system. Think about the trauma of having to tell your most painful story over and over and over again, only to get what they call a cold handoff to the next agency, where you have to start from scratch. People don't get lost because nobody cares. They get lost because the system itself is full of cracks. And in Central Oregon, these cracks are pretty specific. You've got geographic gaps, which makes it incredibly hard for folks in rural or tribal communities to get help. Then there are population gaps, like a serious lack of the right kind of housing for young people or families or people who need behavioral health support. And then you have the big one, the system gaps, those cold handoffs we talked about, and all the duplicated work that just wastes time, money, and most importantly, a person's hope. Okay, so if the system is fragmented, how do you even begin to fix it? Well, you start by changing what you pay for. And this is the big radical idea here, shifting away from just funding activities and instead funding real lasting outcomes. It's all about investing in success, not just services. And the contrast here is just so powerful. The old way pays for an activity, like one single night in a shelter. This setup basically forces good organizations to compete against each other for limited money. But the new way? It pays for an outcome, like someone being stably housed for a full year. That one little change completely flips the script. Suddenly, everyone is incentivized to work together because they all share in the reward only when that person truly succeeds. So how do they do this? It's through something called a pooled funding model. You can kind of think of it like a community investment fund for stability. All these different funders, both public and private, put their money into one central pot. The goal isn't just to hand out cash. It's to get everyone focused on the same exact goal, helping people get stable. The fund then pays the entire network of providers, but, and this is key, only when they succeed as a team. So where does that money actually go? As you can see, it's a really strategic split. A huge 75% chunk goes directly to what are called performance payments. That's the money that rewards the network for hitting those successful outcomes. But that other 25% is just as critical. That slice is dedicated to building and maintaining the system's infrastructure. Because let's be real, amazing collaboration doesn't just happen by magic. So yeah, let's talk about that infrastructure. This is the engine that drives the whole system. It's the dedicated, funded structure that actually lets all these different organizations stop working in their separate silos and start acting like one single coordinated team. At the very heart of it, you have a backbone organization. This is basically a neutral coordinator that takes care of all the messy behind-the-scenes work, managing the grants, tracking all the data, getting everybody on the same page. And this is absolutely crucial because it lets the frontline service providers stop worrying about admin stuff and just focus on what they do best, helping people. And this is where the human heart of this whole thing really shines. It's the cross-system navigator. This person is a client's dedicated guide, their advocate. They become that single point of contact who leads the whole support team and makes sure the person at the center of it all never, ever has to feel like they're navigating that maze alone again. They're the glue. So that navigator leads what they call a pod. And this is so cool. It's a small team of professionals from totally different organizations. You might have a housing specialist, a healthcare worker, and a social services expert all at the same table,
working together on a single, unified plan for the same person. This is where the silos really, truly come crumbling down. It's all about that holistic wraparound support. Okay, so we've got the funding model, we've got the collaborative engine, but what does this actually look and feel like for a person who needs help? Let's follow someone's journey to see how all these pieces click together to create a real path towards stability. So let's call her Maria. She's a mom with 2 kids, and she's trying to escape a dangerous situation at home. She needs safety, she needs support, and she needs it right now. Her story really shows the compassionate, practical power of this entire model. All right, so first, Maria enters the system through what they call a no wrong door partner. She immediately gets a standard assessment and is placed in a safe shelter that's right for her situation. Next, her navigator gets to work, helping her apply for benefits using a shared platform, so she only has to tell her traumatic story one single time. Then, her entire pod, that whole team, works together to find her a permanent home. After she's been stable there for 90 days, boom, the network earns its first performance payment. And finally, after a full year of stable housing and getting connected to job training, Maria's success triggers that final outcome payment for the whole team. And this right here, this is where you can really see the magic happen. Look at how that success bonus from the pooled fund gets shared. For Maria hitting that final milestone, that $2,000 is split 4 ways. The shelter provider gets a piece, the housing provider gets a piece, the health clinic gets a piece, and the navigation hub gets a piece. Every single organization that helped is equally rewarded for the team's success. This is what funding collaboration instead of competition actually looks like. Now, when you zoom out, you realize this isn't just about helping one person like Maria. As incredibly vital as that is, it's about building a completely new, sustainable, and way more effective system for the entire community. It's a model that's really built to last. And this is already happening at scale. We're talking real impact. Through this kind of coordinated partnership, the region has stabilized and maintained 386 shelter beds. That's a huge concrete number that represents a foundation of safety for hundreds of people, night after night. So really, what this all proves is that this model isn't just some nice idea on paper. It's a practical, attainable blueprint for building a better system. It tears down those silos. It focuses every single dollar on long-term success. It creates a network that's more efficient, more accountable, and ultimately, it shows that we can build systems that are both smart and deeply compassionate. Which kind of leaves us with this one final, powerful question to think about. This model proves that it is absolutely possible. So, what would change in our own communities, in our own backyards, if we really decided to invest in teamwork, in shared goals, and in the simple yet radical idea that we truly are all in this together? Just imagine what we could achieve then.